All right, guys, honest breakdown on what happened between Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua. Before I start, please like and subscribe. Watch my last video if you're an MMA fan. That was a great video that I made. I had a comment on it that was very, very nice. But watch that video, like and subscribe. Let's go back to this fight. Anthony Joshua beats Jake Paul 6th round. And was the fight competitive? It was probably like 80-20. 80-20. The competitiveness where Anthony Joshua was kind of just marching forward. What I realized though, Anthony Joshua is fucking terrible at boxing. He's fucking awful. And I'm looking at it as not as like obviously like heavyweight skill is different than smaller guys' skills, right? Than welterweights or whatever. It's the heavyweight skill is a lot different, right? There's more thud, more power punching, more stiff. And Anthony Joshua is just that. He is very stiff. He's a very stiff fellow. He does not move his head off the center line one bit. One bit. He does not move his head off the center line. And that's an actual problem. But Jake Paul, even though he connected, the thing about Jake Paul is he couldn't knock out Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. And Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. didn't fight for like 3 or 4 years. And he's a 170 pounder who was fighting up to like 200 pounds. So he's not even a natural 200 pounder. And he was basically just obese and fat going to that fight. Looked like he didn't train at all. And he wasn't even rocked by Jake Paul's punches when Jake Paul was faster than him, had more power than him, didn't even rock Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. And now you're telling me he's going to go beat a former world heavyweight, two-time world heavyweight champion in Anthony Joshua and knock him out. I mean, look, come on, look, let's be honest. Who was the last guy? Couldn't knock out Nate Diaz. He knocked him down. Couldn't knock out Nate Diaz. Right? There's a couple of fighters like, hey, this guy can't knock him out, and now we're expecting him to knock out some guy that's 244 pounds. And these guys that he was knocking out were way undersized compared to Jake Paul. So that's the thing that was like a myth that was happening. Like, oh, can Jake Paul land that punch? He has dynamite hands. Let's see what he did to Tyron Woodley. Tyron Woodley's not Anthony Joshua. And we saw today what Tyron Woodley was versus Anderson Silva. He's just there to take his paycheck, coming out of shape. And that's just what it is. But Jake Paul, he hasn't knocked out anyone of his size or any stature that's good, right? And expecting him to knock out Anthony Joshua is kind of foolish. He did land that overhand a couple of times, but again, Anthony Joshua's boxing is fucking awful. He crosses his feet every single time. He doesn't cut the ring off where he has Jake Paul cornered. He doesn't cut it off at all. He doesn't throw. He has a good jab. Where was the jab? The jab was non-existent today, right? His no feints whatsoever. He will not feint to save his life. I don't know what it was, but he would not feint where he's just like he's like in him and then feints, give him a little quick little twitch to see where Jake Paul goes. If you want to see a very good feint in MMA terms, look up Shamil Musayev when he fought Magomed Umalatov in PFL. That's a great feint. Anthony Joshua doesn't have a feint, right? He doesn't have a feint. I don't know what the fuck happened. I don't know if Anthony Joshua just didn't really care about this matchup. He was just forward pressured Mexican style, hands up, just trying to land a kill shot and try to knock him out. His two looked very slow, but you have to also understand that Jake Paul's much faster than Anthony Joshua. Jake Paul's president, I forgot his name. Dana White calls him the Warlock. I forgot his name. Nikita. He said that the skill issue, it wasn't a skill issue. It was a size issue, and that's the game that you play, Jake Paul. You always want the size advantage, and now you didn't want this. Now you didn't get the size advantage versus Anthony Joshua. That's the game you play. You cannot now say, "Oh, it's a size advantage." When Tyron Woodley was saying that, when Nate Diaz was saying that, when all these fighters are saying, "Hey, it's the size issue. It's the size issue," and you were basically saying, "No, we knocked you out. Shut the fuck up." And now that you're smaller, hey, it's a size issue. Come on, we got to be fair. We call a spade a spade. You were doing that to other fighters, and then now you can't say, hey, this is being done to me, right? But skill for skill, though, realistically, I don't think Anthony Joshua is that good skill for skill. I think Anthony Joshua, even though I know he won an Olympic gold medal, he's a sniper of a right hand, right? He's a good right hand. He's so fucking stiff, and I watched Anthony Joshua for years. I mean, I watched him versus Klitschko, where he got knocked down and came back and be resilient in that fight, right? I watched him against what's his name? Usyk. I watched him versus Usyk twice. I watched versus Andy Ruiz. I watched a lot of what's his name? The other guy he beat, the fat guy who got in trouble with steroids. What's his name? Miller. I watched a lot of Anthony Joshua fights, and I think with the age and maybe him kind of just taking Jake Paul lightly, he he didn't move his head at all. Like, he had no respect for Jake Paul. And maybe that's just what it was. Maybe he had no respect for Jake Paul. Like, we saw Charles Oliveira just walk down Matus Gamrot with no respect. And like, all right, I'm not moving my fucking head. Fuck you. You try to knock me out, fag. That's basically what Charles Oliveira said to Gamrot. And Joshua, he had no respect for Jake Paul. Just left his head in the center line, being ready to clip for an overhand. I mean, if I was Jake Paul, Jake Paul was fighting well. The skill difference was probably like 70-30 or 65-35 Anthony Joshua. The thing is how much better. So people were like, oh, Anthony Joshua's been doing this for over 30 years, right? Or 20 years, right? He's been doing this since he's like 8 years old, 9 years old, Olympic gold medalist. But how much better do you get from year 7 through 20 compared to year 1 through 6? The exponential growth from year 1 through 6 when you're learning boxing is infinite times better than year 7 through 20. You probably even get worse from year 7, entering year 7 to 20, depending on your age, right? We've seen a lot of fighters that just look bad as sparring wars in training or whatever, or just old age, or like Ricky Hatton. Like, you know how many wars he's been through. Like, we've seen these guys just look worse. Miguel Cotto at the end of his career. Like, we've seen these guys just kind of tail off. So is year 7 through 20 better than learning from year 1 through 6? That's the thing. And Jake Paul, honestly, skill for skill, 65-35 Anthony Joshua. I would say that maybe if they fought again, Jake Paul would do a little bit better. But also, Jake Paul, we saw what we saw. We saw you quit. I mean, I like you have to give kudos to him for taking that fight, because again, he's fighting one of the best heavyweights in the world, not ever in the world, right now, probably like a top 7 heavyweight in the world right now. And he quit. I mean, he quit, but it was a good fight, but he quit. I mean, you saw him fake an ankle injury, he tried to fake an ankle injury, right? He shot on a couple of nice takedowns. I mean, he was in deep on a couple of takedowns. He could have taken him down. Jake Paul in an MMA fight versus Anthony Joshua smashes him. I'll say that right now. Jake Paul in an MMA fight smashes Anthony Joshua. But it's not an MMA fight. It was a boxing match. And Jake Paul, we saw him quit. He got a couple knockdowns. He tried to go down, try to buy some time. You knew that was a game plan once he got tired. Hey, let's go for a couple takedowns. Let's lay there, wipe the gloves, 10 more seconds come off the clock. Let's fake a nut shot like he did. He faked a nut shot. And then even when he got knocked out, I mean, he was just primed and ready. You saw Anthony Joshua just set up with a body shot, a body jab, and then straight down the middle. You saw how nice that was. But again, Jake Paul, he did well. If I had to grade Jake Paul's performance, I would say B minus. I actually thought he fought pretty smart. I mean, I think his gas tank is a problem. But again, a guy like that, his gas tank will never be good. You know, he's not like an Ethiopian sprinter. You know, he's not one of those guys. He's not a Kenyan marathon runner. He has big calves, which is a problem, right? That's what Tommy Fury was saying in boxing. Like, you have big calves, bro. You're unathletic. Sport's not built for you. Big people with big calves, they tend to get tired faster. Maybe that's a stat. I just made that up, but I have big calves and I get fucking tired. And Anthony this guy Jake Paul, he gets tired. I mean, you saw it versus Chavez, you saw it versus Tyron Woodley the first fight, you saw it versus Anderson Silva, you saw it versus Nate Diaz. He gets tired later on in the fights, and today with a 22 by 22 foot ring, which is more than the standard or the average, he got tired from running. He was running around, skirting around the ropes, and he finally gassed out and got hurt, and then he got knocked down 3 or 4 times. But again, Anthony Joshua, maybe he just didn't care enough about this matchup. I would like to see him against Tyson Fury next, because that's the next fight. But again, maybe he just didn't give a fuck. I maybe I'm just talking out of my ass. But again, he didn't set up any feints. He was wildly inaccurate with the 2. He looks very slow, but also he's very slow compared to Jake Paul, who's 30 pounds less than him. And Jake Paul, he has decent hand speed, right? He has decent hand speed. He has decent athleticism, even though he's a big calf motherfucker. He has decent athleticism. And Jake Paul's been doing it for 6 years. You can't just say he's a YouTuber anymore. If you do this for 6 years with a nutritionist, with a strength and conditioning coach, with a boxing group like he has, right? Jay Leon Love, he has that guy from Kronk's gym, always help his trainer helping him. Like these are like guys that are like world champion and been in world championship environments. Love and in this Kronk gym, and you can't say that he doesn't have the necessary tools to become a champion and become a better fighter. And he has definitely become a better fighter. Being a champion is to be determined. Maybe he wins a cruiserweight championship. I mean, like go fight like Badu Jack, who's like 70 years old. Might as well do that. But anyways, or Stevenson. Does he even still fight anymore? Superman Stevenson. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like, subscribe. Thank you.